It's Hump Day. We're here. We're back on Falcons Daily. I am CG, your host, Craig Green, and you want to give me a follow on social media, you can find me at Craig G Sports, CRAIG, the letter G, and the word sports. Fan Arch, who powers Falcons Daily, is at Fan Arch Co. Their cool logo is up here in the top left corner. They are at Fan Arch Co. FANARCHCO. Looking at the depth chart for the game for the Seahawks, doesn't feel like a win right now, by the way, just after how things went against the Jets. But one thing on the depth chart we noticed is that Jalen Walker is now taking over at starting edge rusher across from Leonard Floyd in place of Arnold Ebiketie. Not an injury thing, possibly a performance thing, but it's kind of been working its way towards that since the beginning of the season. They're kind of waiting to see when either Pierce or Walker would step up and make the starting lineup, and it appears it's happened for one of them. So Big 11, J-Walk, is now the starting edge rusher. Arnold Ebiketie will spell him. And then on the other side, you still have Leonard Floyd with James Pierce Jr. as his backup. But Jalen Walker is having a really good rookie season, leads all rookies with 5 sacks. In comparison, Arnold Ebiketie right now only has 1 on the season. And when you look at his pass rushing altogether, he's got 9 pressures. 9 pressures altogether. 4 of those are hurries, 1 sack, and a couple of knockdowns of the quarterback. But again, just not the production that we were looking for from him at this juncture of the game. But he has been pretty good. He hasn't been terrible. Like Arnold Ebiketie has not been terrible, but we're just getting, Jalen Walker's just getting home more. I think that's what it is. It's just more of him getting home on the passes. He's got 11 combined pressures actually this season. He's got 5 sacks on the year. So he's knocked down the quarterback 3 times, hurried him 3 times. So again, he's doing a pretty good job for the Falcons. And again, it's been pretty impressive to see what he's got in his bag. We've seen him in coverage some. The game when he was in coverage against the Dolphins, he gave up a touchdown. Not his best moment, but again, you're asking a pass rusher to cover a skill player out there in the perimeter. So, but yeah, I think it's been something that's been a little bit long overdue to put one of these guys in the starting lineup. Jay Walker's earned his way. So there you have that. Darius Slay, on the same day in which Adam Thielen was claimed on waivers by the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Steelers decided to let Darius Slay go on waivers as well. So would Darius Slay, at 34 years old, would he fit in the Falcons in their defense? I mean, they do call him Big Play Slay for a reason. He's got 5 career touchdowns as a defender, and sitting on a career of, I believe, 11 interceptions. Or make that 28 interceptions. I'm sorry, 28 career interceptions, 5 touchdowns for Darius Slay, a 6-time Pro Bowler and an All-Pro when he was with the Detroit Lions. Spent 5 years with the Eagles and just was with the Steelers this past season. Again, not working out for him there. So he's probably going to be looking for a contender also. I don't really see Darius Slay coming to Atlanta. I mean, we've got Jesse Bates. We got Jordan Fuller. We've got Xavier Watts. But it doesn't hurt. And I think the thing that would entice him more to come to Atlanta is if we were actually winning, But I don't think it's going to happen. It would be cool to see him out there with Jesse Bates and Watts, maybe in a 3 safety look or something like that. But I just don't see it in the cards. At 34 years old, he's going to want to win, and he's going to want to win immediately. He got a taste of that with the Eagles, winning a Super Bowl with them. But, in Atlanta, we're far away from the Super Bowl right now. So I think Darius Slay is going to stay far away from Atlanta because of that. Good news that we do have is that Drake London is eyeing a return versus the Seahawks. Raheem said that it is looking more like a day-to-day situation for Raheem. He was week-to-week the last couple of weeks. We could have used his production on Sunday against the Jets. Could have used his production against the Saints. I mean, even though we handled New Orleans. But it'll be good to have 5 back in the fold if he can make his way back to practice today. So we'll see about that. Raheem spoke on it to the media and said of Drake London, said he's certainly getting better, certainly has a chance. We'll see. We'll have to see him move around a little bit this week. He moved around a little bit today, being Monday. We'll get more feel for that by Wednesday. So we'll see how it goes for Drake. Will he be able to get on the field with that knee strain? And luckily, it's just a strain, because when you hear knee injuries and strains, a lot of times, they'll tell you it's a knee strain or sprain, and it could be something a lot worse. I always wonder when you have players out for more than 2 weeks, should they just go on IR and heal up? And it looks like that would have not been the correct decision for Drake London. So if he can come back and play, we'll really need his help against the Seahawks. I mean, again, a game that I'm sure we're the underdog in. And they're playing well, just coming off of shutting out the Vikings. So, that's what we got to look forward to this Sunday. All right, folks, let's take a look at some of the comments from yesterday's show. A lot of folks chiming in about Raheem Morris and my take on Raheem, saying that I think he should get one more season and maybe shake some things up an ultimatum season. We'll start with one of our day ones, Jeff Holton, 1225. Hi, CG. I like that you are pulling for Raheem. But let's take a look at the overall performance. It is ultimately his responsibility for everything: bad time management, players not being coached properly. We have good players. This tells me that the coaching and preparation are not good. I'm an 8-year Foreman season ticket holder and want to see this thing turned around. I've just not seen any positive progress. I think that comes down to poor coaching and player management. Great recap as always, and love the daily content. Thank you, Jeff. And I do agree with you on the fact that Raheem is going to be held responsible for what happens with the overall performance of the team. That will happen if we continue to lose. He is going to lose his job. However, one thing that maybe we can or cannot agree on is when we can go through all these ball games and point out mistakes that players make during the games, right? Critical mistakes, not just a false start here and there. I'm talking about things that, like consequential mistakes that happen. I tried to point out a bunch of those about the Jets game, and that's why I talk about the things that happen, in some of the losses. Like, we talk about Koo missing the field goal in week 1, to take us to overtime. But before that, the defense gives up the go-ahead touchdown. Raheem doesn't coach them to do that, but at the same time, he is held responsible to be the coaching voice and the coaching speak. The reason why I think he's going to get another year is because of the fact that this is a young team, and because we do have good skilled players, because we're trying to put a brand new quarterback in there. I mean, we had Kirk, Kirk got injured. We had to play Penix. So it was a wonky situation from the beginning when it came to the quarterback situation. Feels like we've got it figured out some, because Penix is still our guy. But when it comes to the finality of all of it, yes, Raheem Morris, at the end of the day, if the Falcons don't turn things around, he will be fired. I mean, we know that's going to happen if it doesn't turn around. Bad time management, yeah. I mean, there's been spurts of that. There's been times where I'd call timeout where he hadn't, or I wouldn't call timeout where he did, or make challenges or whatever. But it comes down to the players performing on the field. Even if he makes the correct decision, if the players don't execute it properly, he's going to be held responsible, right? So that's the hard part of being the coach of an NFL team or a college football team or whatever, is because no matter how much you're there, like the owner could even vouch for you telling them the right things to do, showing them the right way to do it. And if they're not doing it, then they're going to they can't replace all 53 players, but they can replace you. Let's go down here to, let's see. Lovely robot figurine. Got some letters behind there. Bro, I love watching you in the show, but keeping Raheem the dream for even another game is completely insanity itself. Giving him another season would be suicide. Why continue to hang on to Raheem being a head coach in the NFL? That ship sailed long ago. I think we all have seen enough of this train wreck. Him and Fontenot should have been fired after Penix was drafted. Obvious. I disagree with that. We're just seeing the results, and it's not like everybody knew Raheem Morris was going to be unsuccessful. Did we feel like he was going to be unsuccessful when we were 3-2 after we just beat the Buffalo Bills? No. We had a 5-game losing streak. You know what I mean? Things, unfortunately, that has kind of derailed our season. And we're and the icing on the poop cupcake was losing to the freaking Jets. You know what I'm saying? And it's hard for me to blame Raheem Morris for that, when he pointed out to you, hey, special teams lost us this game. You know what I mean? And when he said that, all of a sudden, everybody knew who Marquise Williams was, right? So, like, I don't want to see him playing the blame game, but, I do like the clarity of saying, hey, this is why we lost, right? I don't want him pointing fingers at people every single week. And he will tell you, hey, ultimately, this starts with me, right? It's coach speak. We've heard it a million times in the past, but it's the truth. And in terms of Fontenot, I think Fontenot may be the guy who may be closer to the hot seat than Raheem Morris. Remember, Terry Fontenot traded up for Michael Penix. Terry Fontenot was the one who wanted to, him and Arthur Blank were the ones who tried to trade away Matt Ryan for Deshaun Watson. Terry Fontenot drafted Michael Penix after signing Kirk Cousins when we needed a pass rusher last year. So, that's why I say, that's why I say it may be one more year for this tandem before you hit the reset button. I mean, if you hit the reset button after 2 years with a quarterback who's in his second full year, I don't know if you're, again, then you're bringing a whole new voice in, a whole new offense. You're starting completely over with these players who are in their prime, and we could be wasting another year of Bijan Robinson trying to find the right piece. I tell you what, I'm glad we have Raheem and not Bill Belichick. I mean, I know college football and NFL are not the same, but if you're looking at wins and losses, Raheem Morris at 4-8, I feel better about him than Bill Belichick 4-7 at North Carolina right now. So I think it was the right hire in the coaching cycle, who we had in the building. I mean, I still, I wanted Raheem over him, but honestly, I kind of wanted Mike Vrabel over Raheem, just because I felt like Mike Vrabel was the closest thing we had to, honestly, to Arthur Smith, and I didn't mind Arthur Smith. Again, we just didn't have the results. We just didn't get him for one reason or another, and right now we're not getting him again. Let's see. Dustin Albers. Thielen said he wants to go to a contender. There ain't no way in hell he's coming to Carolina. Shouldn't even have said or thought that. S. Well, Dustin, guess what? This show comes out at 11 a.m. every day. It comes out before some of this new stuff happens. So we're going to talk about it. Whether or not you think it's going to happen, whether it's realistic in your mind or not, is not the part of the thought process of what goes into this show. So appreciate your comment and appreciate you chiming in. Let's see. CB, let me see. I'm sorry. Trying to read your name here. Give you some credit for this. CBRN10. I like your channeling content, but I heavily disagree with keeping Raheem. He is not head coach material. Every coach who we passed on has a winning team. Ben Johnson, Vrabel, McDonald, Harbaugh. Bill Belichick passed on him. He doesn't have a winning record. But again, we had one until we had a 5-game losing streak, right? Again, I ask all of you, at 3-2, was anybody out here hollering for Raheem Morris to be fired after we beat the Buffalo Bills? No. So again, losing streaks unfortunately happen. And one thing I noticed with this fan base is as soon as we have any kind of adversity, we want the entire thing blown up and start all over again. That's the popular thing that goes around. One influencer posts it, it gets shared around by a million people. Again, if you guys want to see the Falcons win, it's not going to happen by just firing people every other year and trying to catch lightning in a bottle. It's not going to happen by just signing star power, right? It's going to happen through grind and process and trials and tribulations. We're going through it right now. And that's why, and if Arthur Blank decides to fire Raheem Morris at the end of the season, that's his decision. I will most likely disagree with it depending on how things play out. But again, I don't think this locker room has been lost by anyone. They're still fighting hard. I mean, when you look at the games that we've lost, y'all, I mean, are we coming out here and absolutely just crapping the bed every week? In aspects of the game, you could say that. But when it comes to the entirety of the games, no. I mean, we're not. I mean, some of the games that we have lost, okay? 23-20. Yeah, we'll take out the 49ers and Dolphins games. Those are the Panthers, 49ers, Dolphins. Those are the three losses I would say that we didn't really have much of a shot. I mean, the 49ers game, we were in it until we weren't. The Patriots game, 24-23. Colts in overtime, 31-25. Panthers in overtime, 30-27. 27-24. We have lost 5 games, 5 of them by a score or less, right? If we pull out 2 of those games, right? Just 2 of them. I mean, if we hold the Jets on a 4 and out, if we can stop the Panthers on a 4 and out, if we can stop the Colts on a 4 and out at the end of the game, right? Guess what? That's 3 wins right there, and we're not hollering for Raheem Morris to be fired, okay? If we're going to fire Raheem Morris, we need to get rid of everybody. That's what I say. I know it's unrealistic, but if you're going to start all the way over again, you need to start all the way over again. Keep Bijan, keep Drake, get rid of everybody else. You know what I mean? If you're going to start all the way over. So that's just, I hate, first of all of us hate seeing us have these losing seasons. But firing coaches every other year is not going to get us any closer to winning the championship. We gave Arthur Smith, I think, 3 years. It didn't work. Dan Quinn got 5, and that's because we went to the Super Bowl and because we had a playoff appearance right after that, and then he was gone shortly thereafter. Raheem Morris, again, first season 8-9, not terrible, but again, this season had a lot more promise. We drafted the pass rushers that we wanted, but you got to remember, these pass rushers are young. Bijan Robinson's young. Drake London's young. Michael Penix is young. So we got to find a way to figure this out. Absolutely. I just don't know if firing Raheem Morris right now is going to get us any closer to winning. It's going to put us closer to the top of the draft next year. And guess what, y'all? We don't have a draft pick in the first round. You know why? Because Terry Fontenot traded it away for James Pierce. That was a good move in my estimation, but it's the consequences of what happens in this season. Ben Johnson has a winning record, yeah, but also, Vrabel, Harbaugh, but also you remember Harbaugh, Mike Vrabel, they are experienced coaches. Those guys went in there and they're doing a pretty good job. What do you call it? McDonald out there in Seattle, so far so good. Ben Johnson in Chicago getting the best out of his talent. Also has another guy out there, shout out to Grady Jarrett out there in Chicago. But again, they look good right now, but you can't win the Super Bowl in November. You know what I'm saying? You can totally lose it like we're losing it, but you can't win it either. So they're off to a good start, but we'll have to see what they do next year. You know what I'm saying? But the Falcons right now, you look at their record again, 27-25, or 27-24, 30-27. 21-35, 31-25, 23-20. Again, we've pointed out games right there that we could have won. 24-23 against the Patriots, a missed extra point. You know what I mean? Do you think Raheem Morris went out there and said, "Hey, Romo, brick this one so we can lose this game"? I love the vitriol from the fans. No, it just happened, right? It just happened, and it sucks. It sucks all the way around. Let's see. Falcons fan forever. I'm ready for us to move on from Raheem Morris. I hope we can get Mike Tomlin. I was supporting Morris at first, but I'm done with him. Well, it's easy to say that when we're not winning, right? But also at the same time, I will tell you this, Falcon fan forever. I, too, wanted the Falcons to trade for Mike Tomlin. After we're letting Arthur Smith go, of the coaching cycle that we had in the building, the people that we actually interviewed, Vrabel was my number one choice. And then after that was Raheem. And again, because of his familiarity with the franchise, familiarity with Arthur Blank, things like that. And again, players across the league, especially with the Rams, speak highly of him, right? So I wanted us to trade for, I would have, honestly, hindsight being 2020, I would have given Pittsburgh the first round pick we used for James Pierce to get Mike Tomlin in our building. And you know what? It can still possibly be a thing. You know what? We might bring this up tomorrow. That's a good thing to talk about. But yeah, I wouldn't mind it. I would, if Raheem Morris is not going to be there next year, then I absolutely Mike Tomlin would be my choice. Let's see. One more. Dustin Albers, Thielen goes back to Carolina because they have a chance to win the division. Well, we know he went back to, he was picked up on waivers by the Steelers. He had no choice in that matter. Carolina sent him off to Minnesota because I think he thought he'd be better off in Minnesota, getting targets and all that stuff. And again, the reason why I brought it up is because Thielen was pretty successful in Minnesota with Kirk Cousins, which is why I thought that maybe he would take a little stab at it. I'm sure Atlanta, you can't even really make a call to him about that. You know what I mean? It's the waiver wire. So whoever, it starts with the worst team and works its way down to the team with the best record. So therefore, if people pass up on Darius Slay, like I talked about earlier, he could work his way down to Atlanta. Atlanta could claim him on waivers. So we'll see. I don't think it's going to happen, but anything that's going to turn this season around, I'm all for it. It's going to start with beating the Seahawks. Yeah, I know, LOL on that. It's going to start with a win over the Seahawks if we can get one of those on Sunday. But right now, again, I'm still not in the fire Raheem Morris camp, but I totally understand the passion and the reasoning behind y'all's decisioning. All right, we'll be back on Thursday to chop it up with y'all. Sayonara and buenos noches.